I mean, shouldn't he be too old to be doing this? Like, doesn't he want to, like, go, I don't know, play shuffleboard or whatever the old go do? Feed ducks? Can LeBron go feed some ducks? You know, can he go enjoy some Sunday crossword puzzles? You know, can he go take a nap? Can he just leave the NBA alone, for God's sakes? Welcome on in, everybody. Miami Heat lose to close out their road trip 117 to 108, courtesy of the King, who flipped this game on its ear for Miami. Really a tale of two halves, but one of the stories of the game for Miami that was a problem all game long. They could not take care of the basketball. You'll give the Lakers some credit for sure. They made things tough. They bogged down on Miami after Miami had a ferocious first half of this game. And I would say probably one of the prettiest first halves Miami has played all year between Tyler Herro and his performance in the first half of this game. The connection between Kel'el, Ware, and Nikola, Jović. Mwah. Tall time! And yet, I can't come on here and celebrate that because LeBron James is ageless and the Miami Heat couldn't take care of the basketball. Just completely snuffed Miami out in that third quarter. Your classic Heat third quarter, outscored 29-19, turning the ball over like crazy. Herro had 3 of them. Bam Adebayo, came out of the locker room, but did he realize a basketball game had started? I looked at it, I was like, did Bam do anything that third quarter? Did he? I'm looking around. I'm like, what the hell just happened? He just walks out, and I'm just like, you're feeling nothing from him in this game, nothing. And I know Adebayo is playing with a sore back right now. Cool dude, but this is not a shaken up by something story. He had one aggressive drive to the basket that I can think of that comes to mind. The rest of it was jumpers, trying to do those, jumpers around AD. He had one drive to the basket. He barreled into LeBron James. They called an offensive foul. Close it out for the night, dude. That was it for Bam basically trying to score. He had basically shot. How many did he even take in the second half? Was it one? Was it one other than the foul that was wiped away? Because I remember he had a jumper, and then I remember him having a late turnover. But I'm just I was like, what? All right, Bam. I'm going to the box score. Second half today. Bam Adebayo, 1 for 2. 2 shots. Whew. 2 shots. No free throws in the second half for Adebayo. Honestly, the least impactful big on the floor today. No question. AD, big first half from him. Kel'el, really, really strong game from him. Nico, good first half from Nico. Jackson Hayes, I feel like I even felt him more than Adebayo. Bam today, man. I don't know. That was a rough one. It wasn't, you know what? It's not even a rough one. It was it was almost worse. It was hey, yeah, did he show up tonight? I don't know. I'll give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt with the back thing, but that was, that's one of those where it's hey, all right, we've played our Tyler Herro card. They're going and selling out all on making Tyler Herro's life uncomfortable. Somebody else has to step up. And yes, tremendous from the young guys. Tremendous. They're throwing Alex Berg out there. Jaime, had a couple of moments in this game. But man, there's got to be games. There's got to be just not even games. There's got to be segments of games that you can go to him and you're like, hey, can you take something here? Just to even take the ball, put the ball in his hands, let him be a decision maker. That has to be figured out, man. It's been, all talk of this offense and change. It definitely has been an awful offensive season for Adebayo, but they got to figure that out. And the unfortunate thing is, look, Tyler did have another great performance today for the Miami Heat. I mean, he's continuing an all-star season. 3 straight 30-point games for the Heat in the regular season. I think that they said that it hadn't been done since Bam had 3 straight 30-point games. The kid's on absolute fire. He's hitting ridiculous shots. Yes, the turnovers were a problem today, but part of me is just like, hey, I think it feels like it's a little bit too much on his plate right now. Like, it feels like you want him to set everybody up. I think it's kind of de facto led to Nico getting, a little bit more of the ball in his hands. But man, all that aside, just the Heat fan does need to appreciate what this kid is doing night in and night out. His first half was absolutely ridiculous. I think JJ Redick, annoying as him and his hair gel are, referred after the game, had said that he is like that they have to guard him like Steph Curry, that he's on that kind of a level right now. That's pretty big praise. I mean, listen, I'm not here to look for JJ Redick compliments because, who cares what a podcast host has to say, but that is a pretty big compliment from a guy who was a damn good shooter himself. And anytime you're putting in the breath of Steph Curry, I think that's got to give a little bit of a pep in the step to one boy wonder. He was incredible, and just continues to do it efficiently too. I mean, like today, he was, the only inefficiency in his game was yakking up the basketball, but when he was able to take shots, I mean, 12 of 18, 7 of 12 from downtown, it was ridiculous tonight. Like the guys. Some of the threes that he's hitting are crazy. And then you did see that little moment. It was cool because, he's a big LeBron fan. And he had that one real tough jumper that he hit over LeBron. And you could just see, there was a point where, I think like LeBron gave him like, all right, pretty good there, Tyler Herro. And then LeBron just felt like he just... Doesn't he want to go take a nap, LeBron James? Like, isn't he? The old are tired, and this guy's out here just still sticking it to teams. Jesus. I mean, what can you say? I mean, he hit 2 tough-ass threes that really brought the game and flipped the game, brought the Lakers all the way back. Then Bam got called for the offensive foul with on LeBron James. And I was actually, like, shook a little bit by that because LeBron was like, I was like, I've never seen LeBron James ever feel impact from a human. Maybe take note of that. Maybe Bam can put more contact into people and make them feel him a little bit more. But not today. That was not that day. And then Miami felt like they were starting to weather the storm again. You had a Haywood Highsmith 3 ball. You got a Tyler step back 3. Tyler fadeaway. You had Duncan Robinson throwing it down, and it felt like, Miami's all right. Miami weathered that storm, and they were looking pretty good. They bring Kel'el Ware in, and Kel'el Ware just, the 2 tremendous stints from the Heat rookie. The tall time, Nico and Kel'el Ware. Breathtaking. I mean, it really was breathtaking to see that these two, I mean, they were just, dude, it was just like the bucket. First of all, Nico nails that perfect lob to Kel'el Ware. Beautiful. Just, but like he's like throwing him slams, and then Nico's trying to he's doing a little handoff to him for a Nico 3. Then, Nico's going to Ware for a little fadeaway. It was just, dude, I was beside myself enjoying it, right? Like, Nico had a drive to the rim. AD had his hands all over him, but he pushes through to Kel'el. Kel'el gets the bucket. They were looking just so good. And I love what those guys bring to the table. And, dude, I mean, Kel'el has been on the road trip. If you're telling everybody how excited they are to see Ware do his thing, I mean, today, today in his minutes. It was 8 points, 11 rebounds. He had 2 blocks, but he also broke up like 3 alley-oops. Just was a presence, man. Just was an absolute presence for Miami. And Spo got a little, got a little hot and bothered. He got a little kinky late night with the Heat. He got a little bit where he played Bam and he played Kel'el for like 30 seconds at the end of the first half. And we were all like, oh, like the way that it looked. And I'm just, I think at some point that the Heat got to like roll with a lot of their best guys out there. And, we're continuing to be forced upon with these Terry Rozier minutes that are just awful. Just awful to have to put up with the constant dribbling, the poor decision making, the shot. I mean, he cannot hit a 3 to save his damn life. I mean, if he would just, just enough with the 3 balls, Terry. It's enough with the 3 balls. Whew. Just that was a rough one. That was a rough one from the Heat in the second half. And I think that ultimately Miami is going to look at this and they're going to say that if they took care of the ball better, they would have won this game. And I can't really disagree with them because the Lakers outscored them by 16 points in points off of turnovers. The Heat turned the ball over 20 times tonight. 23 points conceded off turnovers today for Miami. Second half tonight, Miami. 42. I said 52 points because I can't do math. I'm an ass. 42 points for Miami tonight in the second half. Phew. That's rough. That is rough. Man. So the road trip comes to an end, and they finish 3-4, or they finish the road trip 3-3. They're 3-4 in the Jimmy Butler suspension. Those 7 games are up. Jimmy is going to meet with Mickey Harrison. So this road trip is going to be, I think this is the thing. It's like when you have a 3-3 road trip, it's one of those where it's like, that was, that's fine. Nobody's ever going to scoff at going 500 on the road. That's what you aim to do. But there's no way that Miami goes home on that flight and doesn't still think about, man, at the very least, if we just played with our heads right, they should at the very least been 4-2. The Kings game is still going to haunt them. And then this one, yeah, LeBron was on you. Gabe Vincent, killed the Heat with some clutch shots for sure. But you just kept giving them extra possession after extra possession. I mean, today they got to shoot the ball how many more times than Miami? They took 17 more shots than the Heat did today. Like you're just setting yourself up for failure in that regard. So there's no way that Miami's not going to look at this road trip and think to themselves, oof, what could have been? And look, I get everybody's skeptical when the 3 wins in a row happen. They're like, you beat a 500 Golden State team, you beat 2 awful teams. Do it against one of the LA teams or do it against the Hot Kings. They didn't. They weren't good enough. And look, it's not like Miami hasn't had any good wins this season. But it's just like they're just. It just feels like this wave is going up and down. And look, it is going to be this with the Jimmy thing. I don't know what's going to happen. Okay, I've told you guys. My guess is that if he's meeting with ownership tomorrow, my guess and my read of it is, and everybody's kind of backed off the no shot. I'm getting the vibe of it, my feeling of it, just on guess and speculation. I think they're going to say, don't come back. We'll figure this out. Or maybe they make a trade tomorrow and they just kind of put this all to bed. But I do think bringing that back in has the potential to make things worse. I think back to the first game of the suspension and them getting blown out by 36 to the Jazz. But it wasn't only that. The game that they played the Pacers, they just were disconnected, and they got their asses kicked in that game too. The only reason they won the game beforehand was because the Pelicans are one of the worst teams in the league, and everybody's injured every day. So it's it's a team that's nearly impossible to lose to. I just think for the betterment, this is would they be better with Jimmy? Of course. A regular Jimmy Butler who could buy into winning. Hell, you can't tell me that if Miami didn't have Jimmy Butler, that a regular Jimmy Butler, that they're not taking at least one of these games. So is it a major difference? Do I think they're sweeping the road trip? No. But do I think that they come away with a winning record? I do. But there were some good things on the road trip. I mean, what we're seeing right now with Nikola Jović and Kel'el Ware is great. I mean, this is exciting as a Heat fan. It is exciting. We can throw. Unfortunately, this isn't a standards thing. It's the reality of it. You can probably throw the contending thing out right now. But if you're talking about the development of your first round picks and the guys who are going to be fun to watch, which if you're looking at a lot of the East teams, that is going to be a vital thing that good teams have to do. It is. And Miami is in the process of doing that. And you see it every night with Kel'el Ware. The more leash they give him, the more impact and more confidence he's playing with. The same thing with Nico. He had a nice bounce back today, especially in that first half. And, they really like the ball in his hands. The one thing that still remains a question, though, is with Bam. And it's almost draw it to a parallel. I don't think they're the same mentality at all, so I don't think this is going to happen. But it is a little reminiscent of him taking the torch from Hassan Whiteside. I don't think that's ever going to happen because I think Spo looked at Hassan Whiteside as a headache and Bam is one of his favorite players. But it's tough not to be oh, here comes the young big man who's behind you now, and now everybody's got goo eyes over him, and now you're the guy who's paid with all the expectations. I think he'll handle that better just because I think he's in a better headspace to handle that, and he has the backing of the coach. But look, it can't be denied. It just felt he just didn't. You felt Kel'el Ware minutes tonight. You did not feel Bam Adebayo minutes tonight. Flat out. That's just what it was. It's awesome seeing Tyler do Tyler things, but I do think that he needs right now. Look, he needs a wingman, and that's supposed to be 13 in some way, shape, or form. He's got to have somebody else, and it can't just be freeing him up for three balls. People are going to get hip to that. There are going to be times where he's got to make an impact, take over games offensively, and be the guy who can draw attention to the rim that people have to stop. And too many times he's just looked upon that. He's just here to free up shooters. He's just here to, throw in a clutch jumper, maybe every now and then again. And he gets called for one offensive foul, and it's I'm not going to try that again. That can't happen, dude. It can't happen. It can't happen, especially with likely this being, the end of the Jimmy era. Can't happen. It can't happen. It can't, because you're going to be in there closing every fourth quarter. That's what it's going to be. So don't mean to pile on. It's just it was just very noticeable today. And I think just because, especially how fun the Ware minutes were and all the things that were happening with this. So, we'll see what the chaos is. We'll see what the fallout is. I gotta imagine there's gonna be some kind of news tomorrow. I can't imagine we're gonna roll into Friday and it's surprise, Jimmy's gonna actually play. I gotta feel like there's gotta be some kind of a resolution of trade, stay at home, or we know that he's gonna play. You gotta feel like that's gonna be the case. So we'll keep an ear out to it. We'll keep an eye out to it. And, man, tough one tonight. Tough one tonight for the Miami Heat. taking it on the chin by the Lakers in a second half comeback win, led by the King, LeBron James. And they will lick their wounds, return home for 3. They got the Nuggets, who they never beat, coming in on Friday with all this drama surrounding them. It'll be a little less drama if Jimmy is not there. Not that Jimmy ever fares well against the Nuggets anyway. Then they got Wemby on Sunday and the Portland Trailblazers on Tuesday. You know, we'll see what's what. We'll see what's what. We'll be boots on the ground there Friday for the return, and see if Miami can get some things tweaked right. I mean, there was a lot of good today. There really there was a lot of good, but they played like a young undisciplined team that just couldn't deal with its own success, and the Lakers just played like the smarter team that just let the Miami shoot themselves in the foot and get to this point, which worked right into their favor. Miami loses tonight 117-108.